everybody. We're at the bar with a local rock star. This month we got Bart Lanman. Hey Bart, how's it going?
It's going fantastic.
Thanks for joining us on the show, man.
Oh yeah.
This is awesome. We're gonna take a tour of Basic City. Now when you came here, what's the first thing you saw of this whole area? This thing here. Was it this?
This building inside was a mess.
Yeah.
And I loved it. My wife thought I was crazy. And everybody else thought I was crazy because it was on the, the bad side of town.
Right,
and it was
right.
dilapidated, but the bones were here, and it is a gorgeous building.
It is. It is. And what year was that?
That was, 2012 is when we started considering, and then by 2016 is when we finally opened.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys have come a long way in a short amount of time.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Well, give us the tour, brother.
Yeah, come on in. So on the front, you can see our, we call it the narrative logo. And that has a lot to do with our culture, Basic City, and now the Foundry. We like to look at it and say that we've got, it both represents the receiving like an antenna, but also the broadcasting like a microphone.
Yep.
We're in the tap room right now. This is the OG Basic City tap room. Like I said, it opened in October of 2016. You can see all the kind of unique embellishments around here. We grabbed a bunch of stuff that was thrown in the junk pile and made chandeliers and made tables out of the roof boards, and it's named Basic City because this was Basic City, Virginia in the 1890s. It's a lost town, historically a lost town of Virginia.
Yeah.
So that makes my name the mayor, because I'm the mayor of Basic City. It makes my job easy. I'm the mayor of a lost town.
Perfect.
I think we should get a beer.
Let's get a beer.
Okay. Tasha, can we have a couple beers?
Yeah, what flavor?
I'll do Pilsner.
Whatever he says, I'm sure is the best one.
We'll do Pilsners. So this is a 25-foot zinc bar that we reclaimed from a gentleman that used to work at Virginia Metal Crafters.
This is zinc?
This is zinc.
Wow.
And it was poured at Boeing, and for a period of time it was the longest single pour bar in America, zinc. And it's probably now about 60 years old. The guy wanted $45,000 for it at the time. I said, I'll give him $4,000. He said, okay, and sent it. I was like, wow.
You got a deal. Thank you.
Cheers. So Basic City started with the tap room.
That's good.
And we're gonna head to take a peek at the spine, which is the production area. At any given point, we have about 500,000 pints available out of these tanks. Fermentation tanks on the back side, brew system on the inside, on the front side. We do a lot of beer drinking here, but we also send beer out to the market, so a lot of people are drinking it at their local bars and picking it up off their local grocery stores.
Yeah.
And then this is kind of the OG area that now we've set up as arcade, a little bit of an event space.
That used to be the stage up there.
Oh, yes, and this was the stage originally started over in the corner here, and then we moved the stage to in the production area. But a lot of good local bands, Chamomilla Whiskey, Brian Elijah Smith, Sally Rose, Delta Junction, Wahookies.
We're one of the first ones.
Sun-Dried Possum.
Right.
I was looking at the list. 49 Winchester was here as a local band.
Wow.
Driving a Crying played on that stage. Michael Allman played on that stage. So we've been doing live music, and there's been times where, I was the sound guy, which is pretty scary.
Was this before Gary Kirby?
This was during Gary Kirby, but sometimes Gary couldn't make it, so
Right.
I'd end up Gary at the time was a little too expensive for us. You know, we'd pay $50 and as much beer as you could drink for our sound guy. That worked sometimes, and it didn't work sometimes.
You know, Gary started with me in my band.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a corporate toad, you know, for Fisher Auto Parts.
Yes,
And
I
he
knew
had
that.
this big epiphany, you know, he's ready to do sound. So he hooked up with our band. And we fizzled out quick, and he went on to better and bigger things, man. I just love Gary.
Oh, he is really the beginning of our, you know, of our professional gigs. He started. People had to bring their own sound. Sally Rose, the first time she played in that spot in production, and she brought her own sound. But that the ceiling is so high there that it just, like, things got garbled. She managed it well.
Yeah.
You know, but it was, so from then on we started thinking about how we're going to do sound. Gary was like, I got a bunch of systems, because he's got to have it.
Yeah, he does.
And then fast forward to 2022 when we opened up the Foundry. All of this is Gary's.
Yeah.
He had a system that was sitting in a truck, and he was like, I'll do the sound and the stage and the lights. And if you build the space, you know, so all of that is Gary Kirby. He worked sound for a period of time, and then was not able to.
So you just said one day, it's like, I got this big space. Let's do it.
Well, yeah, we had considered it. We're in the Foundry now, by the way. We just walked through past the kitchen, and now we're standing in our 1,000-person capacity music venue. It started at 650, and we worked our way up to 1,000-person. It is a full-blown rock and roll scenario with the you know, 24-foot stage, lights, haze, but we were working towards, from the beginning, we always had this idea of doing something a little bit more than what we were doing, which was throwing the stage together. And
yeah.
I mean, I built the stage every Saturday day, and then broke it down so production could have it by Monday.
That's a pain.
But we had looked at this space and considered it for, you know, since we came in here, and this is 14,000 square feet. And it was just like perfect industrial feel. It was the Foundry for Virginia metal crafters. So really at about 2018, I started doing the first drawings and submitting them to the city. That was a process. It took us until 2022 to have our first.
Did they try to buck you, or they just wanted you to do it right?
They wanted us to do it right, but there's another 14,000 square feet on the other side of this wall that is now a wine production facility. And that was where the firewall fell. And so in order to get this started, we needed to get that done, get a tenant in there also, which that took some time. And it was a huge project. I mean, it's the reclamation of this whole building's, you know, a few 100,000 square feet. So there's a lot more down there now. Hap Coffee's down there, and then there's a tattoo artist, you know, so, and then we've got 6 or 8 other businesses that have moved in. So I mean, this is a major historical reclamation project.
All I can say is thank you, because I don't think anybody in Waynesboro ever dreamed we would have something like this.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, seriously. You know, this
when we moved into town, which has now been 25 years ago, I said 10 years Waynesboro is going to start really hitting it, you know. It reminded me a lot of growing up in Northern Virginia. I grew up in a town called Lovettsville, where you knew all your neighbors, you knew your mechanics and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so Waynesboro reminded me of that place when we first got here, but there was not much to do, you know, and so Charlottesville's right down the road, Harrisonburg's right down the road. And so we were.
So you were snooping around all these spots, weren't you?
Oh yeah. We looked in Richmond even, you know, and but this one really resonated, and 10 years went by and there wasn't really any big movement yet in Waynesboro. So that's when it was like, let's see if we can create something to do. My brother Chris, who is the co-founder, wanted to do a brewery in Missouri. I talked him into coming to Virginia, and we then looked at spaces, found a brewer, kept him here for 2 years to open, and now he's got a brewery in Missouri also. But so that was, you know, this was the building, man, and this was the spot, and we saw potential with growth and square footage, and So we went from 16,000 square foot starting to now we're 35,000 square foot to include
Lordy.
the showroom.
They judge real estate tax on square footage. Don't they?
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, let's not.
Try to keep this.
Yeah.
Try to keep this happy.
Amen.
Yeah, so we do like a great spectrum of music in the Foundry here. I have sort of like a musical background, but it's not as a musician necessarily. I played clarinet and saxophone and harmonica, so I had been known to get up and play with bands, but I was not. I learned how to play. I learned chords and stuff on the Hammond organ that my grandmother, gave us.
Yeah.
And so I can still probably play. Some say love, it is a rainbow. Oh, but I've got a great ear, and that's what it came down to. I could jump in and I could play sax with bands and play harmonica with bands.
You should have never told me that. Now I'm gonna worry you to death every time we get up there and do a gig.
No. I'm not good. There were times where I would sit there and not play anything because I had to feel it, get the vibe, and then
That sounds
and
like
then
me
just
on
go with it.
That sounds like me on guitar. I love to play it, but no one wants to hear me. So
That is not true.
I just stick to singing.
Yeah, so the Foundry we kind of consider like our peak experience in the building. So tap room's laid back, there's kids zone over there with the arcade, so it can kind of get peaky over there. But,
Yeah.
We've also got Sip Soda Shop over here that's a new addition, which is Dirty Sodas. But here you get this like, you get this experience, and you get an experience with the crowd, and you get the experience with the band, that it all sort of comes together. And it's relatively intimate at a, 1,000 people or 850 person capacity, and at a 200 person show, it's still, you really got a good vibe with the people that you're standing with and the community that supports, and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's there is a lot of fun to be had here. We've got a full bar, here too. So we serve liquor drinks. They're like highball liquor drinks, so they're not overly fancy. We do domestic beers, tall boys, and then of course we got Basic City beer, wine, and cider. So anything for everybody.
Did it hurt to serve domestic beers, or is a buck a buck?
I didn't want to serve domestic beers over in the tap room. I was completely against it because our beer is showcased over there.
Yeah.
But over here, it was, this is about having a good time. And if you're not a craft brewery or a craft beer person, I can understand. My dad was a Pabst Blue Ribbon guy. He switched over to Sierra Nevada later in his life. But I grew up drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon. So beer guys are beer guys. And as long as you're drinking beer and supporting beer, but I think it's a good thing.
I don't think I've ever had this one. This is excellent.
This is our Daily Pills. It's
I like it.
One from the beginning lager.
Shows the green room where all
Green
the
room is-
magic happens.
Yeah, we like to. I created a new mural over here that represents what the green room is all about, and the green room is sort of like that nesting place, that comfy place, the pre-ritual before the gig. Where you're on the road and you got to find a place that you can chill right before you put your performance face on. So I always imagine walking through here, the bands and artists.
Wahookies!
You're probably up here a lot.
Yeah, man. We appreciate it too.
You're like almost our resident artist.
I like that. Oh, that's cool.
That's the mural. It's an abstraction of what the green room is, over, the nesting, the home experience, that you get in a green room.
That's trippy.
Oh, yeah. So this is the green room. We think it's green.
It is green. Maybe a touch of blue.
But super comfy, like all the amenities of your living room and potentially some dining room stuff.
And what happens in the green room stays in the green room.
Yeah. So we have, this is available for our local bands and our touring acts, and This is where we provide them with their rider stuff, and but there, you know, it's definitely can be a party in this.
Oh
room.
yeah.
And I use it as my office on off times.
Nice.
And I got a fridge full of beer here, so
Yes.
never have to walk too far to get a beer.
And all the bands appreciate that.
Yeah. And then in the, you know, of course we've set up the basketball net and the mini arcade and the pool table in here so that, you know, some bands show up at 9 in the morning and spend the day here.
So they got to have something to do.
Yeah.
That's nice. Oh Lord, I hope I don't start burping on the microphone. Walking and drinking will do that.
Hey, beer is good for burping. If you're drinking wine and burping, that might be a problem.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of pretense when it comes to beer. We joke around this, you know, a lager. You know, back in the day, we all talked about beer, you know, like it was a glass of wine, and we still do that with, you know, we talk about IPAs, and the production guys talk about it, and the brewers talk about it, and some of our crafty crazies, you know, still talk that way. But we always used to say with a lager, you don't really talk about it, you just drink it.
Man, this is a nice view.
Yeah, so this is the balcony. It's a 25-person capacity. Right here, you get both stage sound and PA sound, so it's kind of neat. But yeah, good photos. You can crowd watch.
Yeah.
This is upgrade. We've also got the mezzanine, which can accommodate 50 people, and then we do floor seating, just depending on how the show's selling. We're sort of bound by our capacity is bound by fire code. And so if we get up to 1,000 people, there's no seats on the floor. You know, up to about 600, we can still keep maybe 50 seats on the floor, but we have to move according to the amount of people that are in the room.
Yeah.
I think it's a calculation like 7 square feet or 5 square feet per standing and 7 square feet per sitting, and it's a lot of math. So we're now in the showroom. It's kind of our speakeasy vibe. We call it the elevated concept because it's on the hill.
Yep.
But this was the showroom for Virginia Metal Crafters, as the Foundry was the brass foundry. The door that we just walked through had an observation spot that you could watch them do the brass stuff. And,
Yeah.
they sold seconds and everything in here. We turned it into the speakeasy, which is, we only have top shelf. There's not literally a lower shelf. So it's the upscale cocktails. They don't make that type of cocktail down in the Foundry. This is like, you know, smoked simple syrups and tinctures and everything that they make. So they're really very tasty. We call the menus called Captain Dick's Happy Hour.
Now, I've never bought one, but I've been gifted 3 drinks.
Oh, nice.
Each one was awesome, man.
I've not had a bad one.
No.
And I actually kind of have to avoid this sometimes.
Yeah.
Because if I spend too much time up here, then I
You
don't
get happy.
the work done.
Yeah. Yeah,
But-
if I found a place like this, I'd be a sick drunk in 5 years. Man.
Yeah.
And be
you know.
careful, because I've seen some friends that had restaurants and they ended up, you know, on the juice too much.
Oh,
man.
I mean, it's definitely. I
tempting.
drink beer a lot.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't drink liquor as much. I will.
right.
But you definitely have to maintain, you know, some sort of regulation amongst
Yeah.
yourself when you have available 400, 500,000 pints at any given point. You know.
Right.
So there's times where it's like, okay, you know, I should probably get home.
Yeah.
I need a ride.
Yeah, exactly.
My wife and I call that the extraction moment. I call her and I'm like, I need an extraction.
Is this the extraction photo?
That's the extraction phone. It's like Morse code.
SOS.
But this is the oldest building on the property, so it predates Basic City, Virginia. It's a farmhouse. They don't have an actual date for it, but it's colonial, I guess. Or,
Yeah.
and there's still like some inhabitants in here from back in the day. If you sleep upstairs in the one room upstairs at night, there could be some things. That
I love that. 'Cause
sort of
I used to do paranormal stuff.
Oh, you
man.
did?
I love that stuff, man.
Yeah, we had a guy come from Richmond, and I was like, I got the perfect spot. It's like a room, It was a room, and so he was spending the night up there, and he heard some shaking around, and then all of a sudden the door started being like shook, like somebody was pulling the handle.
Yeah.
And so he got his pocket knife out and went to the door and was like, his heart was beating, and nobody was there. So he grabbed his stuff, went downstairs, slept on the couch in the brewery, and left a note for us so that we wouldn't think there was a vagrant like sleeping in the brewery. It was like, too many ghosts.
Yeah. I've actually seen a ghost, so I totally believe in ghosts. It was my grandfather's ghost too, man.
Check that out.
That was awesome, man.
That is, I mean,
at the time it scared me to death.
Yeah.
But now I'd hug them, because I have no fear of ghosts anymore.
Yeah. My wife's family has a 1680s home in New Kent.
Yeah.
And I don't sleep well there. I did get relatively accosted by an old hag.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one. There's plenty of stories about people getting accosted by the hag. I didn't see her, but I heard her. And she was dragging a foot. It was like,
nice. Nice.
Freaked me out, man. I was like, there's a big fat fly buzzing around in the room.
Oh, nice.
So this is the showroom. It's cool. Every spot's got its own vibe. Every spot's got its own offering. We do the kitchen serves all the venues on campus. So during a show, they can be feeding 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And it's when it is hopping. That's when my heart's humming. People are just having such a great time, moving around, feeling all the different experiences.
Well, we appreciate the tour.
Yeah.
Now, where do you want to sit? We'll have a little sit-down session with you, too.
Let's sit at the Foundry bar. Is that good? Or do you want to sit
good.
up here at the...
All right. We're back at the sit-down version. Now we get to get a little more personal with you.
Oh, good.
Where were you born? What did you call home before Waynesboro?
I was born in Loudoun County, Virginia, Lovettsville specifically. And that's been a lot of years ago.
I'm sure you know where Sterling is, right?
Oh, yeah.
I used to live there.
I did. I worked at White Star Cleaners in Sterling as my, at like high school, just out of high school.
You're probably not old enough to remember when it was Sterling Park.
No, it was pretty built up by the time I had gotten in there.
We were one of the first 50 families that moved there.
In Sterling Park.
Sterling Park.
Wow.
This is in the mid 60s.
Jeez, it's not like that.
Oh,
I'll tell you that.
I wouldn't recognize that place now. And then Dad worked at Vienna Westwood Country Club.
Oh.
You know where that's at, probably.
I do. Yep.
There was an old farmhouse right beside the country club. That's the one we lived in. I'm sure that's gone too.
Nice. Yeah, Vienna is like, that's pretty much like DC now, isn't it?
They were just building Tyson's Corner when we lived there.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go way back, baby.
Jeez. Yeah, I worked in Tyson's Corner also in high school it was called Harvest. And they did clothing and whatnot. So they had one in Leesburg, which was the main spot that I worked. And then I'd pop over to every once in a while to...
So you pretty much stayed in Northern Virginia till you moved down here?
Yeah, I was in Northern Virginia for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then went to VCU in Richmond, spent 5 years studying philosophy, religious studies, literature.
Yeah. My niece
met my wife there.
Oh, really?
My wife, Chandler.
That's where my niece graduated from.
That's also a lot different. It's grown up a lot. It was inner city school, lots of crime and homeless and that type of thing, which made it like legit, and it was the aesthetic for Richmond art and music and stuff was built in that, so whole different vibe than when we moved to this area and then experienced Charlottesville culture. It was just Charlottesville was really sort of clean and spruced up.
Yeah.
And Richmond was, it had its spots, but I had grown on that, like grown deep into that aesthetic that was Richmond.
Yeah. Now, were you one of these guys that had like a little barrel in their basement? You used to make beer?
Oh no, actually, I drank beer. I never really was making it. My brother
I just envisioned you
Chris.
making beer in your basement.
Oh
I was
no,
like, hey,
no.
I can do better than this.
My brother made beer, and so the way that I got into beer is my dad was a beer drinker, like a beer drinker. You know, he just would, when he could, he would just drink beer, and he started on Pabst Blue Ribbon, and when we were kids, you know, he would give us a bit, and none of the other kids, there's 5 kids in the family, and none of them really liked it, but I did. And so I'd like drink beer with Dad, you know. But then he went and visited his brother in Chico, California, and was turned on to the whole craft brewery scenario with Sierra Nevada. And this was, you know, like 80s. And he decided that he was going to basically import Sierra Nevada from California on his own. And so he brought Sierra Nevada Pale Ale into Northern Virginia by, you know, almost by the pallet for himself. I was a little upset at the time because Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is very hoppy.
Yeah.
And, you know, Pabst Blue Ribbon is like carbonated water with a little beer flavor. And so I thought it was gross. You know, that was when I was 12. So, but it created a great foundation for me for considering what craft beer was, you know, having some of it early on in
So
life.
beer, basically, like going back to Egyptian times, it's just like you put a bunch of grain in something and fill it with water.
That's
and
true.
then it kind of ferments. That's basically
Yeah,
the
I
story
mean,
of it.
wild yeast was the way that it happened. You know, it's just at some point somebody had a great idea, like there was grain sitting out back from, you know, one of the taverns or pre-tavern, you know, one of the like Airbnbs back in the day, and you know, grain from the bread probably that was being made for dinner, and you know, maybe this is Cro-Magnon time, you know,
Yeah.
where it's like grain ended up, you know, just getting wet, and then
Yeah.
wild yeast happened into it and it fermented. I don't know. I mean, I guess, you know, if you're hard up, you drink wet, you know, chunky grain.
I hate to say it, but I don't even know what yeast is. It just is some kind of plant.
Yeast is just a microorganism, like the simplest of organisms. It's been around for, you know, what, hundreds of thousands of years.
How do you corral yeast?
I mean, breweries now do wild fermentation where they'll just have an open fermenter that allows for the yeast to come in, and yeast is everywhere. You know, it's
Like pollen?
yeah, it's kind of like floating around like pollen. And now since basically Augustus Busch, I think, created a certain strand of yeast that was the modern day yeast that we use, and now they grow yeast specifically for beer. So our beer has a bunch of different types of yeast. Sixth Lord has a Scottish yeast, and you know, that kind of goes into its name. The Sixth Lord was a Scottish baron that was granted all of this land that we're sitting on by you know, Great Britain, King George, I think it was. So we say, you know, since it had Scottish yeast, it was, you know, had some Scottish lineage to it. But yeah, yeast is for most contemporary breweries, you don't want to have wild yeast because it will turn all your beer into sours.
Yeah. What's easier, making wine or beer?
I've never made wine.
Oh, I thought y'all were into the wine too.
No, the wine is a separate
Entity.
separate company that's on the other side of that wall right there called Commonwealth Crush. It's a whole different process. They have periods during the year where they're like super busy during harvest and doing the things that they're doing, and then it's quiet. You know? For us, we're brewing constantly, you know. So our beer takes a month or more, 6 weeks to come out of the, you know, to be ready to package. So there's sometimes can be in the bottles for years. Commonwealth Crush does a really neat job at doing like playing with different varietals to have it readily accessible to the palate, you know, quickly.
Are you allowed to grow your own ingredients, or do you have to purchase them?
We potentially could grow our own ingredients. Most of the hops don't come from East Coast. They're West Coast hops, or New Zealand. You know, Virginia hops are very much like maybe British hops because the climate's very similar, and those hops are bittering hops. So that, you know, when West Coast IPAs were really big, you get like real garlic character and
Yeah.
spicy characters.
Yeah.
The new approach for New England style is to use the cold side, to use the floral and citrus sort of aspects that come naturally out of the hop. But that all comes from West Coast, so we don't, you know, we don't use much local when it comes to hop.
Yeah.
We did do some local grain, but the variability in local, you know, the local producers was causing us to have some significant variability in the end product.
Is that stuff small enough you can mail it in, or does it have to be shipped in on a truck like other things?
What, like grain? And
Yeah.
grain we get by 50-pound bags, and there's 50 on a pallet. So we were getting most of our grain we got through. We got some, you know, from Germany, but some through Canada, you know, and so most of it comes on a Mack truck, and we take it off with a forklift and, you know, hump those 40, 50-pound bags. And
Now, when you started this business, did it just keep going, getting better and better, or did you hit some plateaus?
it kept getting better and better. The first 3 years, it was like we had done something really well, which was create a solid product, a reputation as a brand, and it was pretty amazing, you know, what we did as a small operation. But then pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And pandemic was like a start over for us. You know, we were shut down for a month and a half.
Yeah.
And then people like changed the way that they did things, and so we basically at 3 years kind of started over the project on how things were working. The distribution still, we do distribution like where it goes to the market and grocery stores.
Yeah.
And
I see it everywhere.
bars. Our distributor has done a phenomenal job, and it's not normal the amount of volume that we do in distribution. So we've been lucky, you know, and I think lucky also is like working hard and making it work, you know, and keep pushing and make relationships, you know, and so yeah, man, our Six Lord and our Daily Pills are pretty much,
Yeah.
you know, at all the bars that you want to drink at.
Well, what's the funniest thing that's happened here, or the craziest, or something like that?
I'm gonna say the best thing, because the opening day here in the Foundry was such a hard project to get to that day, and we like the fire department called us the day before. So this is Yonder Mountain String Band, but the fire department was like, we haven't given you the thumbs up that you can open.
Yeah, I remember that thing now.
And there was moments of just like, we had worked so hard 3 days, 4 days, 5 days to get everything stapled down and fixed and ready to roll. And people were here at 5 o'clock. It was just buzzing. There was, 500 people at that time, you know, that were just like excited for opening day, and it was Yonder Mountain.
Yeah.
And I was trying to smile and, you know, still hold, and I was also announcing the show, you know, and so I had to sort of like not drink too much so that I could be up on the stage and
Yeah.
be eloquent as the mayor, you know, breathing new life into these walls.
Yeah.
But at like 5:30, which was an hour before doors, they finally gave us a thumbs up that we could open. And that, like, the pressure went off, and I stood, after I gave the opening spiel, I stood in the crowd and got to hear it, you know, what we had been building up to for this
Yeah.
room, and I got to see it. I got to see how people reacted, and tears were like, I was like dancing in the crowd crying, because it took so much to get there and to see what we had produced, you know. that was such a great show, the opening show.
You've had some top-notch acts coming through here, and I'm sure there's plenty more
Yeah.
coming in the future.
Yeah, we just released that Leftover Salmon's going to be here in September.
They've been around for a while.
Yep, and we've been trying 3 years to get Leftover Salmon, and just we couldn't quite get the deal right, or I didn't have enough guts to pull the trigger on what it was going to cost. But we have Blackstone Cherry and Buck Cherry show coming up. We had sold out Everclear. We had Daniel Donato. So we're working some routing.
Sebastian Bach.
Sebastian Bach,
Man, that was tight.
Yeah, Jackal.
Yeah.
We, as a mid-sized venue, there's been a lot of conversation about maybe we should land on a genre. But I'm more along the lines of live music is, and after the 250 shows that I've seen here, it actually substantiates my consideration on this, is that live music is different and should be considered outside genre specificity, because you have talented musicians that happen in a live setting, and things can happen that don't happen in the studio or whatnot. But it is just talent is talent, whatever genre that it falls into. So I've seen great country shows. I've seen blues that just rock, and I've seen newgrass and funk and and jam, and
I'm glad you went that way instead of, like you said, pigeonholing yourself into one genre.
oh, it's so nice to be able to see the different genres do their thing.
I think there was a time people liked specific music, but I think people now, they're so exposed to everything that you can embrace so many different forms of music and art,
Yeah, I agree.
So that's great.
I mean, we grew up listening to, evolving into the music that we came to consider our genre later on in life.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah.
I'm like, the genre's like beer to me.
Yeah.
One day I want to drink Pilsner, one day I want to drink an IPA.
There you go.
One day I want to be listening to country in my car, and one day I want to be rocking out to EDM. It's, what's the right mood? And I can tell you that talented musicians on the stage can set the mood for you, and the experience has just been, there's been only a couple shows that I was like, that didn't work out, but everybody has an off night,
I'm sure when you moved to Waynesboro, some people were warning you about Waynesboro, because Waynesboro does kind of have this old kind of theme from the past, like super redneck. The second day we lived in Waynesboro, we hadn't even moved into our house yet. We were coming from the Holiday Inn, me, Dad, my mom, we were coming downtown to get some food, and here comes a drunk from High Hatter. It's one of these buildings here.
Yeah.
He was doing like 90 miles an hour, coming straight at us for a head-on collision.
Oh my gosh.
And he hit that concrete bridge right there at Woodworth Animal Hospital on 250. There's still a chunk missing from it, from when he hit that thing in the 70s.
Oh.
And he hit it just enough where he sideswiped us.
Uh-huh.
And he went off the road. About 10 minutes later, here comes the state troopers with his drunk ass in the back seat. My dad runs over to the car and opens the door and just starts beating the shit out of that guy. The cops were like, we didn't see that. It's like, welcome to Waynesboro.
Welcome to Waynesboro.
Oh, Lord.
Well, I grew up in Loudon on a small farm. My dad was like a contemporary redneck. He listened to Willie Nelson and Waylon and all that. We had a small farm, so it was like we had pigs and chickens, and I worked my ass off on the farm, garden, and so I have both sides to me, and the other side was Waterford, Virginia, which was the eccentrics, and so I lived smack dab in the middle, and I got the eccentric side, and I got the sort of good old boy country side, and so I got a spectrum, and I, when we first started building stuff out, we used a lot of local servicemen, and got to be really good friends with a lot of the what I would consider more on the good old boy side, but that's not pejorative to me at all. I think that I made a lot of great friendships in the full spectrum, and that's something that's special about Basic City, is like you can sit at that zinc bar and there's such an eclectic mix in the 25 or 30,000 people that are Waynesboro. And you can sit side by side with someone that you wouldn't necessarily have considered in your, like your scope or your group, and have a great conversation and a great time, and beer helps with that.
Yeah. I don't think this town's as redneck as it used to be, man. It's evolved a little bit.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I may have missed that a little bit of.
Yeah.
I mean, right across the street was the, what was it called? That's now Bonobos.
I'm not sure what was there.
It was a bar.
Was that the High Hatter?
No, maybe that was the High Hatter before it became.
Yeah, I think the High Hatter was the one that was the recreational place that sold like bikes and stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's not there anymore, is it?
No.
Now that might have been the High Hatter.
This was named. Why am I forgetting it? It was named after the proprietor. And I heard some stories about that spot.
It wasn't Ed's, was it? Ed's Grill? Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
I heard some stories, and it was still open when we got here, and I went in there a couple times, drank a couple Pabst Blue Ribbons.
Yeah.
But there were stories about Ed. There were stories about some of the clientele, because that was like, they'd do late night DuPont, where people would get off their shift and go and start drinking at whatever, like 10 a.m. or.
I took my dad to Ed's one time. He said, he looked up at the tiles. He said, "That's the prettiest gold color I've ever seen on a tile." I'm like, "Dad, that's nicotine stain from people smoking for 50 years." Well, Bart, we're coming down to the final 3 minutes. I just got the signal. I'm going to leave it all up to you, man. If there's something I didn't touch on or something you want to say to everybody, or.
I appreciate the way that the community is in all of its spectrum. We've really had a great time and have a great time, in celebrating beer and, dancing to music and sharing and I think that the way that I sort of have a feeling of belonging in a town that I'm moved into, that's where we want to be, where we're open-armed and, want to create consistency and a draw for people to feel like they got a place, and for whatever you want to do, if you want to drink soda, we got that, the next generation is what I'm looking at, coming in, drinking sodas, taking a peek at what's going on in the Foundry, looking at the arcade games. And
your place is just like Plaza. Everybody always says how they feel so comfortable here.
That is
they feel
super important.
It just feels like home, like you're just hanging out with your homies somewhere.
That's right. Yeah, we as a period on that, we opened up with a few rules, and because we wanted to make it feel like we weren't like putting you in a box.
Right.
And so in the beginning, it was you can't smoke pot on premises because that was illegal.
Right.
It could cause a problem with our ABC license.
Yeah.
You couldn't get naked because,
Paul Klein.
because some people get offended by naked people running around.
Yeah.
And the other one was there wasn't really that to respect, because we had a bunch of Appalachian Trail hikers that would spend the night here, to respect the premises,
Yeah.
So anyway, those were our rules, and it made it feel like this was your place because you could do what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And if you were unruly, we would of course ask you to leave.
Right.
But for the most part, we were come in and have a good time. If you can't have a good time here, it's your fault.
Well, thanks for picking Waynesboro, brother.
All right, man.
Man, we love you and your lovely family.
Glad to be here, and thanks for the chat.
You guys have been an asset to the community, man. That's
Thanks.
great. This is the last interview we're going to have for a while. We got some other projects lined up, and we'll let you know about that. Bart, thanks a lot, buddy.
Yeah,
Luke,
buddy.
thank you, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
He's been running around, making a fool of you all around this town. He's been coming home late, changing his shirt, saying it's work, huh? You know you can't give him your foot down.